What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here with your Packers Daily Chat for Cheesehead TV, coming to you live wherever you are in the world, because we're dedicated to you, Green Bay Packers fans worldwide. Hello to everybody in the live chat already. Kevin's starting us off with a really good question. Do you think Mercedes Lewis will sign to be on the 53, or is he plan B insurance if they don't land one in the draft? It's a really, really good question, Kevin. I don't think there's any hesitation in cutting him if they do find something in the draft and kid comes in and plays well in camp. But I do think they value his experience and his blocking ability. And, you know, I think that he definitely makes it to camp. And then if he's clearly outplayed or seems to be, you know, continuing down the road of hitting the wall, you know, Father Time is undefeated. It's coming for us all. But yeah, I think he's definitely insurance in that sense. But I do think they think he can still help, and especially in the run game, getting out on the edge, sealing that edge for the backs to get outside, etc. But you know, if he's not, if they cut him in the camp, they don't have to pay him at all. You know, none of their salaries, the veteran salaries, aren't guaranteed until week 1. So definitely, all y'all, this chat has a title. And I would ask you to follow the rules of said title. If you don't know what the title is, check it out. It's at the bottom of the screen, I think, in the YouTube chat. Thank you. I love you all. Do you think the Packers' 2019 starting slot wide receiver is currently on the roster? Whew, that's a good question, Will. I think most likely. Interesting nugget from Ryan Wood at a piece just posted at PackersNews.com. The Packers were at least checking in on Cole Beasley. Obviously, Beasley's had a ton of interest. He ended up signing with Buffalo for a decent chunk of change, which is probably why the Packers were out. I don't think it's a priority for them. I think maybe if something falls to them in the draft, they'll look that way. But I do think it'll probably be a rotational basis, something between like Kumaro, MVS, Devontae sliding inside sometimes, etc. I don't think there'll be a dedicated slot guy. Hey, Nags, you guys hiring at Cheesehead TV? We're always looking for people to help and contribute and push the ball forward. Send us a note at contact@cheeseheadtv.com and let us know what you have in mind. Is Tony Brown good enough if we don't sign Breland? Kurt, I think he's got the tools. I think he's got the talent. It's a Milla time. Sorry, that's a line from Ghostbusters, and I just thought of it because I saw those two lines together, and I had to complete it. Yes, I think he is talented enough. Do I think he can step in and be a full-time contributor in sub-packages? I actually do. Now, as I've stated several times on this chat, it's really up to him to do the work in the offseason. If he can make the kind of jump, the progression from year 1 to year 2, I absolutely think he can step in and give them whatever they may lack if Breland is indeed gone for good. That said, I wouldn't shut the door on Breland just yet. I have little doubt the Packers are probably letting him hit the market to try and see if they could, you know, get a team-friendly deal. Because I think my suspicion is that Breland would like to get at least close to what the Carolina Panthers had on the table for him last year, and I don't think he's going to find that. Now maybe, maybe there's a team out there that's going to, you know, approach that, but I think the Packers are going to let the market settle down a little bit and then try and get him back on a team-friendly rate. I know it's not flashy, but I'd love to see Gutekunst take an offensive lineman or defensive lineman in the first round. William, I think there's a chance, especially at 30. At 12, maybe if somebody, one of the premier prospects falls. But I do think at 30, it's a real possibility. Someone like Dalton Reisner. How great the whole airplane gave Zadarius a standing O on his flight to Appleton. Matt, I saw that. He mentioned flying in from Atlanta, they announced that they had a special visitor or a special guest on the plane, and everybody gave him an ovation. I think that's pretty great. Yeah, it does give him a glimpse into what it's like to be a Packer. Packer fans are crazy. Where are these AJ Green rumors coming from? The internet. Welcome. Do you think if Cobb doesn't get a good contract with other teams, think he comes back on a short deal with the Packers? Aaron, you can't completely dismiss the idea. I think it is a remote possibility, but it is remote. I think they would like to move on and get those young guys on the field. I don't expect it to happen. Now, is it an impossibility? No, but I don't think it's in the cards. If we go inside linebacker in the first, is that an indication of what we might do with Blake? Patrick, I'm glad you brought this up because it's been getting a lot of run in my mentions, online, in general, etc. If they took, say, Devin White at 12, which I think would be an excellent selection, I don't think it says anything for Blake Martinez other than it gives him a really excellent running mate. Obviously, Devin White is a 3-down backer who it would be hard to take him off the field on 3rd down. And that would diminish Blake's role a little bit. But it's only going to make the defense better, and it's only going to make Blake's job easier. And putting 2 really good football players together, I think it's the way your defense improves, right? And you get stronger in the middle, where all good defenses, they are all strong up the middle. And will it make signing Blake long-term a little less likely? Probably. But I just don't understand the thinking online that I've seen has been, from a certain section of the fan base, has been, draft White and then cut Martinez. Like, that makes no sense to me. Or try and trade him. No. Use them together. Your defense will be better for it. And look, I get the people who don't like or think Martinez is average. I understand why they think that. I think that's incorrect, but I get where you're coming from. The comparisons to A.J. Hawk, making tackles downfield, etc. I get all that. But, man, he is a very good football player. And people are way too dismissive of, he just makes a lot of tackles downfield. He makes tackles sideline to sideline. He makes plays in space. When he's asked to rush the quarterback, he does it really well. He's not asked to do that nearly as much as he should be. I think people are really dismissive of him. And the one thing to me that is missing from his game are turnovers. If he could just hold on to the football, he's in position to make plays all the time, but he rarely comes down with the ball. You've seen him drop, I think last year he dropped 2 sure interceptions. The year before that, he dropped 3 that were in his hands. If he just starts coming down with those, I think the whole conversation around Blake turns around. But of course, that's up to him. He's got to finish those plays. He's got to be a closer. But I think just this dismissiveness of his game irks me. Packers need a Tariq Cohen or Tyreek Hill type terribly. Well, I think every NFL team would love to have one of those guys on their squad. They don't just grow on trees. But that's the kind of player that I've been talking about the Packers needing for a decade. I remember when Darren Sproles came free, I was begging the Packers to sign him. It's a quick twitch, lightning in a bottle, change of pace guy that's going to give guys real problems in space, outrun guys, etc. It's just not something the Packers organization has seen to put any kind of stock in. I remember Greg Bedard and I talking about it. How long has it been since Greg covered the team? That's how long I've been talking about this. And maybe that changes under Gutekunst, but I've seen no evidence of it so far. It just doesn't seem to be the type of player they covet for whatever reason. Draft White and keep Martinez. Thank you, Jesse, for saying what I just said for 20 minutes in a very concise little message on YouTube chat. Thank you. Our offense is average. Need more quality players. Well, I would agree with this in the sense that it would be nice to have another game changer. It'd be nice to have someone that the defense has to worry about, that they have to stay up at night, designing coverages and schemes to stop. Now, that said, I do think there's some talent there. I think that feels a little dismissive of guys like MVS and EQ who could continue to grow and continue to mature. Look at Devontae Adams. He was very much like those guys his rookie year, and he continued to grow and became a legit premier weapon. Now, I get for 2019, expecting those guys to make a huge jump like that, that's probably a bit much. But I think the offense has talent. It can be utilized and 100% move the ball, score points, etc. For a difference maker, though, you got to look at the draft. I don't think you're going to go and get one in free agency. You want to draft them into your program and bring them along, develop them, the old draft and develop mantra. That's the best way to do it. And we'll see if Gutekunst goes that route. I know I don't have to tell Packers fans, it's been a long time since they looked at skill position players early in the draft, especially in the first round. Let's head over to Twitter, see what's going on here. How much influence, if any, has Matt LaFleur had on this free agency period? That is an excellent question. if we can only take these guys at their word. When we talked to them at the Combine, it sure sounded like, yes, he would be involved, having conversations with Brian Gutekunst, but it's very much Brian's baby. It's his roster, and it's Matt's job to coach what he's given. I don't for a second doubt that they had conversations, especially around, say, Billy Turner, what he would offer them and his ability as far as the zone run scheme and how LaFleur is planning to attack there. But yeah, I'm sure he's in on conversations, but ultimately, he's not pulling strings. He's not probably like having much of a say as far as, well, I've got to have this guy, or I've got to have that, or I really want this guy. I mean, I think he's, talking scheme, talking ball, but his input in actually acquiring these guys is minimal. I would like to purchase the Cheesehead TV draft guide, but the year I last decided to was 2015. Can you assuage my irrational fear that the Packers will have similar results if I purchase the exemplary guide again? No. What on earth is going on with Bears media on the HaHa signing? Oh, Michael. Holy cow. There are a few topics in the world that I try to stay away from altogether, whether online or in real life. The Middle East, religion in general, and now HaHa and Amos. I mean, yesterday was so insane online when it came to Bears fans, Packers fans, Bears media, some Packers media chiming in. I mean, good Lord. Okay, they signed each other's safeties. Fine, we get it. These teams are supposedly playing together against each other in week 1. Can we just see how it plays out? This whole idea. I thought some of the Bears media really kind of bent over backwards to make it look like they pulled one over on the Packers. Like, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't get it. I mean, I kind of get it. Some water carrying going on there, but can we get Aaron Nagler's no response to Canberra B from Packers Daily made into GIF form? No. All right, let's head back over to the live chat, see what's going on. Haha, the Redskins didn't even want him. Eric, that's what I said last night on Twitter. I would mark, was it Eversole, that I responded to one of his tweets, because they were just like crazy last night, flying left and right. And I just said, the thing Bears fans got to ask themselves, Washington gave up a 4th-round pick for the guy and didn't commit to him long term. I mean, they basically rented him for like 6 games for a 4th-round pick and said, yeah, now we're good. I ordered the guide. Is it mailed or emailed? It will be emailed to you. You will get an alert once it's available. It's a downloadable PDF with all sorts of bells and whistles and goodies. With Tannehill getting traded to the Titans, seems like Miami might need to move up for a QB. Think Packers have some leverage and move down a spot? It's possible, though. The Dolphins don't have a whole lot of draft capital. So, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what their plan is there. It's kind of funny. Their QB depth chart is kind of scary to look at right now. PFF grades Zach Brown an 88, better than Blake Martinez 74. Oh, you mean the same PFF that graded HaHa Clinton Dix as one of the best safeties in the league last year? Keep drinking the Kool-Aid, buddy. Aaron, why is the NFL season so short? Because these guys beat the hell out of each other and they get beat up and they're like walking car crashes every single week. You have no idea the violence that these guys put their bodies through. There is a article about Jason Taylor, about what he would go through every week just to be ready to play. And some of the crazy stuff that he would do on the sideline to kind of patch his body up and get back out there. I'm going to try and find it. I'm going to throw it in the comment section next time, because just the amount of violence that goes on in an everyday football game is just, I know people are desensitized because, we play Madden, we play fantasy football, it's on in the bar, like it's just, it's whatever. It's background fodder for the most part. Obviously, everyone here, we're very invested in the Packers, but you're still consuming it at a very safe distance. If you get on a sideline of a football field, you'll understand why the season is so short. 16 games is a lot. And these, ideas that we have whenever there's labor disputes about possibly going to an 18-game season is just the most laughable thing in the world. Baker Mayfield will replace Ryan Braun when Braun retires. Easy, Sam. Corey Banky's right out there. And if he hears us talking Brewers, he's going to come in here with some hell to pay. No, I'm not talking about Packers credentials today. I have no verge for it. What's the word? I don't know. Aaron, what player do you expect to have the second-year jump? Good question. I'm going to go with Tony Brown. I really do expect good things from him. I think if you watch his tape, the promise is there, all the athleticism you need. I think he sees the game really well, and he's got some really good minutes, and he's got a year in the system. Again, it's up to him to make that jump. Obviously, you'd like to see a jump from Jamon Moore. You'd like to see a jump from Oren Burks, but we didn't see much of anything out of any of them last year. So to me, the one guy you've got tape on where you can see the possible, trajectory where he could definitely take that jump, to me, it's Tony Brown. Nags, what's your hunch as to what the Packers will pick at 12? A very good football player, Jorge. No. It's funny because it's hard to project in this particular draft. I mean, last year you knew a lot of the quarterbacks are going to be coming off the board. This year it's a little tougher to kind of project that first top 10 to see who might be there for the Packers. But it's nice because they're going to get potentially a really good player at 12. I mean, whether it's an offensive lineman, whether it's an edge rusher, whether it's a tight end, whoever they deem or they have their top tier when they're on the clock there, no matter how the draft falls, there are going to be some really good players available when they pick. My hunch, if I had to, if Ed Oliver falls, please, God, please, Lord, let it be him. But, one of the edge rushers falls, I think there's a good chance they go that way. Brian Burns, if he falls, I think that's a really good chance. But we'll see. We're still really far out, too. Banky should do one of these daily chats. I'd love that. Get a 10-minute rant over a silly question. Yeah, Julia, that's kind of like being in the office here every day. Would you take a chance at Rashawn Gary at 12? I would not. I don't know. I'm not going to say I'm out on him. I mean, obviously he's got all the athleticism in the world, and he could potentially be a really good player. But man, 12 is a bit rich for my blood. What's the source of division on Rashawn Gary? Amir, mostly production. I thought Steve over at PFF had a really good write-up of him this morning. Just showing that a lot of times, a lot of his production came off of, wasn't strictly schemed up, but scheme certainly helped. And then when he was left one-on-one, he wasn't as productive. And, you look at the things, as far as what the guys are asked to do when they get to the NFL, especially if you're taking at 12, man, you want that guy to be productive. Yes, it's a long-term investment, but I don't think you really want to sit on a guy with potential for a year with your first-round pick, 12 overall. I agree. Devin White at 12, then Irv Smith should be there at 30. That's a possibility. How do you feel about Montez Sweat after the combine? Man, he tested through the roof. There's no doubt about that. I like him as a player. I think he's a bit stiff. I get where people see kind of a souped-up version of Nick Perry a little bit. I'd be very surprised if they went that way at 12, but you never know. Need another proven wide receiver. I don't agree. I don't doubt that they're looking. Like I said earlier, they were checking in on Cole Beasley. I don't mind the idea of bringing in like a slot type, but I don't think, I don't see anybody out there that's going to give them anything that Geronimo Allison can't, as their number 2 opposite Devontae Adams. And then they got a ton of young guys that they need to get on the field. I don't want to stunt their development. So, I get the impetus to look at the depth chart and you think, oh my gosh, they're so young and they're so inexperienced. It's true, but there's nothing that Allison can't do that is You want to go and pay money, free agent dollars, for a guy on the street. You know, I don't see it. What moves, if any, would you like to see the Packers make before the draft? Sign Justin Houston. The longer he's out there, the more you think it's got to be at least a possibility that he'd be amiable to a one-year deal. Kind of a 1 year incentive laden, get back, hit the market again next year. And, like I said, the longer he's out there, the more of a possibility I think it is. Because, look, I get he's older. I get, they could even sign him and then end up drafting an edge, and then you've got a ton of edge guys. That's fine by me. Sure, he's probably not going to contribute on special teams, but, hey, man, sending waves of pass rushers at the quarterback, could you imagine that? Could you imagine having a defense kind of like Mike Pettin had here in New York with the Jets, where he just had rotation of guys, and they were always fresh and always causing the quarterback problems? Wouldn't that be great to see in Green Bay? Give me some of that. How do you like Eric Berry? I like him as a player. The injury issue is very real there, and I think teams are going to be very cautious. And if we know anything about the Packers, it's the conservative nature of their medical people. I'd be surprised if the Packers were in on it. I do think they need another safety, desperately. I mean, I don't think you can roll out. Right now, you'd think probably it's Amos and Tramon Williams again. They cannot go into this 2019 with Tramon Williams at free safety. They just can't do it. Or at strong safety. They just cannot do it. Can't do it. Can't have it. Bang on your drum all day. That's what I'm talking about. That's a good place to leave it, isn't it? Heading into the weekend, banging on our drum. Thanks so much for all the questions, everybody. I'm sorry if I couldn't get to yours. It's been a fun week, free agency. Packers actually making moves. Who'd have thunk it? Go to cheeseheadtv.com. Pre-order our draft guide, specific to Packers fans and Packers, schemes, what they're looking for. It's all that. It's like tons of draft guides you could get, but the Cheesehead TV one is catered just for you guys, just for Packers fans. Pre-order that. Support us on Patreon. $5 a month. Supports everything we do. Gets you exclusive access to my podcast, Nagler's Never Right. Hit like, hit subscribe, share it on Facebook, tell your friends. Thanks a lot, everybody. I'll see you next week.